Hey everyone, welcome to the Wings Mobile Detailing Podcast. I'm back here. I'm a franchisor owner at Wings Mobile Detailing, where we operate in multiple different locations, specifically mobile detailing business for services, cars, and airplanes. And in this podcast, I'm talking directly to detailers, you guys, business owners, who have been in business for quite a while, and what I've seen and come to realize, and this will be the topic of the podcast, is that most detailers, they repeat the same mistakes year after year without even realizing it. And if you tend to get anxious during this time of the year as a detailer and not realizing the mistakes that you're doing, stay in this podcast that we're going to go over how to prepare, particularly to take advantage of the time that you're busy. We can't really make a magic formula to make you be super busy during the winter just as much as you were in the summer. It's hard. Summer, consequently, people are going to want their car detailed more often, or the weather can be more permitting in that aspect. However, there are certain things that you ought to fix and that you take full advantage of the summer months, get all the demand, and that will grow your revenue. When it gets towards the end of the year, you're going to realize that your revenue, your top line, your net income grew exponentially just for making these tiny little tweaks and being a little bit more aggressive prior to when it gets busy. So let's get to it. I'm sure you'll make a huge impact for all of you guys detailers who are out there. And let's get to the podcast. This is going to be mainly about hiring people ahead of time, before you need them, before summer comes by and then you're rushing trying to find new people, and then June goes by, July, August, and you're done. You have no more time. You didn't prepare before, because hiring can take time. For people who are inexperienced with hiring, for a lot of detailers, business owners who does not have the experience, it may take even 5-6 months between hiring and training, getting them fully ready in the team. And by that time, it takes too much of a time for somebody to be really involved in your business and excited and actually stay in as an employee. Hiring ahead, when to hire, how to hire, hiring processes. What are the exact processes that you can follow when you hire new detailers for your business? What to do, documentations, and things that you can provide them so that you don't have to micromanage. Consequently, you will avoid no calls and no shows. If you're starting your business, listen to our earlier podcasts, because you would have to want to get to the point of where you're fully busy already throughout the year. Hiring ahead. Right now is January, it's winter months, and we have less clients on our schedule. Of course, but we know it's going to increase. We know when it gets close to spring, it's going to get busy. And when it's get close to summer, it is going to get a lot busier, and to the point where we're stressing, but it's a good type of stress where we're making money and having all that. But you do want to hire ahead of time. You want to start looking and for people way ahead, but most importantly, knowing what to do when you do hire them, how to train, and all those steps that I mentioned earlier, so that you don't have to start super early, right? This time, January, is a great time for you to learn how to do that. So when it gets close to March, you already, okay, I'm making the decision to increase my team right then and there around March. But if you're starting March not knowing what to do, how to hire, how to train, and all that stuff, you might have to start over. And yes, March would be the day that you're starting to increase your team, to hire more people, actually. And how many to hire, it all depends on how busy you are, but look at it based on last year's summer, on the summer of last year. And hire more than you think you actually need. That's what you're going to do. So if the summer of last year, you're not going to look in the winter, because right now winter may be so slow to the point where you don't even have the demand of clients to full the capacity, to provide jobs for all of your employees and team members. So don't look at it based on this month. Look at it based on last summer, because consequently this is what you're preparing for. You're preparing for this coming up summer. And so you hire more than you need. If you felt like last summer you're super busy and you couldn't handle all the clients that were calling you, and if you thought at one point thinking that if I had another team or even another van, right, another van for your vehicle, we're talking about hiring here, but you could think about it as hiring, as buying another vehicle if you don't have it already. But if last summer you thought that, hey man, perhaps I could have another people in my team. I could have another person in my team, and I would be able to fulfill all the demand, right? Or last summer you may think that I probably could, have two more events, two more additional events going out there, two more additional detailers going out there detail. Then you may want to prepare to hire three more people for this upcoming summer, right? If you thought, if you thought you need one more, hire two. If you thought you need two more last summer, hire three. What you don't want to do is send clients away. And believe it or not, if you put down on the calculator the amount, if you're busy, and if you put on the calculator the amount of clients that you turned away last summer, you would be surprised because, if 2 days goes by and you say, hey, I'm not available right now, you don't show availability, perhaps you're not able to calculate the amount of clients that didn't even book with you because you weren't busy, that didn't book with you because you didn't have time for them. So that's another thing to think about. So that's the process on how many to hire here. Definitely want more. Hiring process now. That's a very important note here. That's a very important topic on the process. How to do it efficiently. So you're not wasting time. You hire efficiently, so you're not having no calls, no shows for the interviews that you set up, and all of that. You hire efficiently, so you prevent from having no call, no shows for your interview. Perhaps wherever you schedule your interview, and this I'm gonna help you with that as well. But then you show up and you schedule one day. It takes you forever to find people, and then when you finally do, they just don't show up, and that is really annoying, and it really gets you down. Especially if you're initially starting your business or have been in business for a while, and you know how it is. You know the trouble you've gone through to really hire people, and that's one of the biggest complaints that people have, business owners have. The hiring process always starts with a phone interview, right? Once you find them, and however you're gonna find people, from your friends, from your existing employee referrals, putting on a Facebook post there that you're hiring, on Instagram post, websites, wherever you're looking for people, however you find them, this is going to be the process. Interviewing them. The phone interview, you don't want to waste too much time. You don't want to also, what I used to do early on in the business is I would just talk about, hey, how great it is, a job, the company culture, even though it was just me back then. But try to really convince the employees, do everything I can to make them excited. That is important. Of course you want to be real, but you want to be more confident during a job interview, because if you're coming already afraid, interviewing somebody, and you're already afraid that you're going to lose them, they're going to sense that and see that you're really pushing, and it might lose, by you doing that, it might be counterintuitive. They might lose the interest in getting hired. So you want to be to the point thinking that they need you more than you need them as well. So that's what you're gonna think about, so you don't portray that image of desperation on during the interview time. And you want to ask them questions. Be very straight up with the questions, telling them about the job, but really practically. Tell them the day-to-day, the pay rates, the pay frequency as well, which is important, of course. The pay frequency, the pay date, and checking about your availability. But first, I have a few questions to ask, and these are questions that you're gonna have to know from the get-go because it might not work for you. And this question would be, how available are you? Are you available Monday through Saturday? Monday through Friday? However, if you're gonna need them Monday through Saturday or Monday through Friday, you ask that first question, because if you do the entire interview and then towards the end of the interview they tell you, I'm just available part-time, after 3 p.m., it's not going to be a good candidate, and you want to have moved to the next one. You want to get that out of the way, that first question out of the way, and then, of course, the process is you're going to ask other questions. I'm not going to go in detail on how to do a interview people right here, but there is another episode under the same podcast. You can see the episodes on how to interview people. So the job interview is out of the way, but you would start with a phone call interview, asking them questions, feel their voice on the phone. Just by hearing them, you're able to tell, okay, this is going to be a good one. This is not going to show up to the job. And so you want to ask them questions following my latest podcast, which I don't want to repeat that one. Moving on, after the interview, what we like to do just for the hiring process real quick, let me just cover that real quick. When the next step would be for you to schedule either an in-person interview for you to see them, or you can skip ahead. That's how we like to do, and schedule them a trial day, a ride along. You bring them, they work with you that first day, or with your employee or your trainer, where if you have them, or you do the detail yourself. So you schedule, hey, let's come out for a first day working together. Of course, you're gonna pay them because they're gonna be working. that's the best way for you to see whether they're going to be good or not. Is really for you to see them at work, right? But now, the problem is if they don't show up, right? The problem is if they don't show up. And the way to prevent that is first having more than one person. So let's say you're hiring people. You want to try multiple. If you need to hire one people, you want to have interview 10 people because you might find one good one, right? So if you want 3 people, you might want to go through 30, interview 30 people, 30 candidates. That's how crazy it is. Um, you're not gonna grow your team well if you need one person. You just interview 2 people. Then you're just gonna stick with the second worst one, with the less bad one. So you don't want that. You want a good people working for you. And so, since you interview multiple people, and you're going to also be trying out multiple people. So, let's say you interview 10 people, and you were able to get 2 that are good ones on the job interview on the phone call. Then you want to schedule that perhaps the next day. So, let's say today is Thursday. Hey, are you available? Let's do a ride along for tomorrow, for Friday. And then you schedule this one person for in the morning, for let's say one client in the morning, and then you bring them back at the meeting location, wherever it may be. If you find a parking lot location to meet them so they're not coming to your house, great. What I do not recommend is you picking them up at their house, because that shows that wherever they're leaving from, they gotta show up on time. That's gonna be a good thing for you to see if they showed up on time or not. If you pick them up at their house, you're not gonna be able to tell if they were late or not. And if they're late on the first day, that's definitely not a good sign. If they're late on the first day, that's not good. So meet them somewhere, schedule that for one person for the morning time, and then bring them back, and then schedule another person. You want to have scheduled another person in the interview for the same day. Don't wait for the next day, for the afternoon client. So if you're going to meet them at 12 p.m. at the parking lot, drop one off, pick the other one up, and test both. If you need one, and do that for the next day as well. Try 2 more the next day. And then you can pick from the best candidate right then and there, right? Now, let's rewind a little bit here. Before you schedule the first trial day, however you want to call it, ride along, sometimes we like to call it ride along. Before you schedule that trial day, you want to ask for their ID, their driver's license, right? So it's good to ask for a picture of their driver's license, because a lot of times, and that will happen, where you're interviewing people and they say, yes, I'm ready to go, schedule for tomorrow, Friday, like I said, the no call, no show, schedule for tomorrow, all good, and then you go there to pick them up, they just don't show up, they don't answer calls, nothing. So, good point here, good tip. After the phone interview, if you like them and you schedule for tomorrow, for example, the ride along, you ask them as a confirmation to send you a text message or email a picture of their driver's license. And you would want their driver's license as well, because it's a candidate, they're going to be working with you. So ask them for a picture of their driver's license, because that's going to be more of a commitment. It happens so many times where I schedule to meet with one of my trainers, and the day before or after an interview, they never sent the picture of their driver's license, and I kept asking them until the day came for the trial, the ride along, and they never sent it, and they were not responding. And then I just told my trainer, don't worry about it. Go directly to the job. Don't wait for the guy, because most likely he's not going to show up if he's not answering and didn't follow the simple instructions of sending the driver's license. If they do, however, send you the driver's license, good point if they're going to show up. It's a good sign. It's a good sign that they're actually going to show up to the first day trial right along. That is a great process. Little small tips like that will prevent you from being frustrated, and most importantly, not wasting time as well. Now, with that, you've done, you liked how they, performed the job and everything. And by that, you'll be able to already tell if they're good or not. But one important part during the hiring process, the documentation and everything, after the first day trial, you could do it before, is do the background check. It's extremely important, because it's hard to believe, but as you're hiring more people, you guys probably already know, there are many knuckleheads out there with felonies in the record. And you don't want to go any process where you find that out later. Or if you don't want to hire felons, some companies do. That's no problem. If you're the type of company who hire felons, then you still want to do background check, because you want to see how bad it is, right? But if you don't, regardless, it's not about hiring felons or not. It's really seeing their background, really see if they're criminals or not. And that will be helpful, but you do need to provide them with documentation and written consent to do that. So that's a part of a document that you can send them to sign. So that's why it's easier to do that after the first day, before you hire them, because chances are they're not going to send you consent to do background check, you know, just before they show up. They might, you know, if they're really committed to getting the job, they actually might give you consent and sign the documents. Now, all this process that I mentioned to you guys, assuming, let's say, you found one great employee that you did trial day right along, background check is good, and you got to the point of where, okay, I want to hire you, you're hired. It's not going to be a matter of a week. It might not be a matter of 2 weeks. We here at Wings Mobile Detailing franchise owners, we can go through that entire process from putting the job out there, hiring, interviewing a bunch of candidates, hiring even 2 people in a matter of 2 weeks. But it's important to do that. You want to have all the systems in place and having an avenue where you can get a lot of candidates. The business was well known, and you have processes too where you can get more candidates. For for some people it might take a longer time. For others, it might be even quicker. But it takes time, right? So by now, let's say if you started the process in March, it might be around April where you found the guy. You found that guy and everything. So that's why if you're inexperienced, or you're not a Wings Mobile Detailing franchise owner in this case, it might take you that long. It might take you a month or even more to hire, much less train them. Because the next step now comes about training. So you see, that's why you want to prepare way earlier before you get busy, guys. Because the next step, you still want to make sure that you send them the guidelines, you train them, and that they pass, that they are actually good long term. That they are working with you for 2 weeks and they are actually good to go. Because you might hire somebody that's good, pass background check and everything good, and then that 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks that they hired, maybe 3 days there was like a no call, no show, where they show up late to the job, or perhaps they even are not as good of a detailer as well, and then you have to fire them, let them go, and you have to, or maybe they resign, they don't continue in the company even after you started all that process, and then you're back to square one, and then by the time you repeat the same process, calculate, by the time you repeat the same process to hire another person, you're right in the middle of summer. Maybe you're at the end of summer because maybe 1 or 2 more months have to go by. So that's why you want to start earlier and follow procedures to the point of where you're training fast, hiring fast, interviewing fast, but efficiently and smart, and training them as well. So training would be the next step here. Our franchise owners of Wings, we tend to like to only hire detailers that already have experience. That's what we like, so that they start already knowing how to detail, and so we just need to train them on our processes. But a lot of times we also hire people without experience with the training systems. Franchise owners do have training systems, on-demand training academy with videos on how to do detail, which color of tile to use on windows, all of these details with quizzes so that they are trained even before they start their first day working. But you might not have access to that. And so what I recommend is, of course, you're going to have to train them in person, right? To teach them all of your services, you or your guy being out there detailing day to day, and train them in the meantime. But if your plan is to train them to put them solo, going by themselves, then it might take time. But what does help is also training videos on, not actually training videos, but YouTube videos. Look for a channel that you have, detailers on YouTube. There's so many great detailers on YouTube out there teaching people how to shampoo, extract, use a steamer machine, wash the exterior of a car, and polish a vehicle. It might not be formulated to uniform to how you provide the services, but it also helps to get them even more familiar with more detailing vehicles. So build a playlist perhaps of these videos on how to do things and send out to your employees, have them watch them. So that is helpful as well. That will give you a little bit of a boost on the training, so it doesn't take months for you to train. One other thing are guidelines and documents to prevent from them thinking that there are no consequences of not showing up to your job, no call, no show, and you have to call them in the morning. You wake up stressed in the morning already because you're a business owner, and you're stressed. You get stressed out of just being a business owner, but you don't want to wake up every morning and be anxious thinking, did my guy show up today? Oh, I have a feeling he's not going to show up. Oh, that's an important client. I already rescheduled that client 2 times. I hope he shows up. And then you wake up, at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, you're anxious. You wake up at 6, let's say the job's at 7 a.m. or 9. and then you're just hoping that they actually show up. Especially if you don't have a systems in your event. In our events, we have trackers to where you can see it's connected to our scheduling calendar, so we can see where the client is and where the event's located through the map view. But you might not have that, and you're just crossing your fingers, hoping that the client is not calling you, saying, "Hey, where's the guy?" Right? Micromanaging, because they do that because they think there's no consequence to their job, and hence you'd have to create guidelines so they know, they sign before you hire them. You give them employee guidelines, and in the guidelines you can put policies in there. That's what companies do. That's what we do it here. Stating very clearly and making them understand, explaining to them, hey, we are very strict with no call, no shows. Here at Wings, for example, we don't accept one no call, no show. If they don't show up to the client in the morning or whatever, and they call the client that they are going to be late, it's not considered no call, no show. But if the client calls and say, hey, nobody called me, there's no messages, and they didn't call the client, it's after the appointment time, didn't show up, then it's a firing offense. But you want to have policies. You don't accept 3 times. And if it happens once, maybe you give them multiple chances, right? But if it happens once, you're not going to be micromanaging them, saying, hey, you have to show up, you have to show up. You're just going to tell them, hey, you got it, 1 strike. You can't have it again. It's on the guideline. They read it, so they know you're going to implement it, and they don't want to get fired. It's different when you were working with guidelines like that and providing it to them. So that's definitely helpful. There's so many ways to build employment guidelines, guys, and so many things to add to that. But this is definitely going to help to conclude with this podcast. It's definitely going to help for you to hire early. I know it sounds like a very tedious process, but once you get the hang of it, it's going to be easy. It's going to be more systematic. Eventually, as you grow the business, you want to create systems to hire, not only hiring people to help you do those processes, but systems, let's say training academy, training videos as well, hiring processes, interview questions that you want to ask, and you already have all of these things in place. There are a lot of moving parts here, but it's not, it is hard at first. It's definitely difficult. It's a challenge, but it can be done, and it is part of the game as well. And so when you hire all these people who start growing your team, consequently, you're going to be able to fulfill that demand during the summer, the busy times, hire more than you need, and you're going to be making more money, right? Finally, you're going to be able, okay, now I actually grew my revenue this summer compared to the summer before. And being able to service the clients, having availability on schedule goes a long way. And you'll be able to, with that money, invest back in your business, grow your business, hire more people to help you, and it's easier to hire, then you're gonna, instead of hiring 1 people, you're gonna want to hire 2 more because you have the money, and you're gonna use that money to spend on more advertising, for example, grow your business, and so forth. Or take advantage, become a Wings Mobile Detailing franchise owner, leverage from all of our systems, or convert your existing business into a Wings Mobile Detailing franchise. So you're just pretty much leveraging from all the systems, and it all will save you tons of money as well. Guys, this is it. Don't forget to subscribe. If you need more information on the franchise, check out franchise.wingsmobiledetailing.com. And thanks so much.